Okay, I will hold my hands up. Tchouameni, you are really proving me wrong this season. Because if you don't know me, I don't particularly like Tchouameni, or I don't hate him, but I just think we could do much better. But in the last few months, he has been doing nothing else other than proving me wrong. And the last night's game, where Tchouameni literally saved us after Benfica scored that, early goal. He had a masterclass performance, and he is proving me not just in this game, but the whole season along. Today, we're gonna look at how he literally overcame being booed at the Bernabeu while playing out of position, and finally getting that new manager Xabi Alonso, then him getting sacked and still performing under Arbeloa. Then we have, the performance against Benfica and what he has been doing this season. But also, I want to react to this video by Bernabeu HQ, which shout out to you, of course. Link is going to be down below. But Tchouameni, the key to the Real Madrid's build-up in this Benfica game. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I want to know your opinion. Is Tchouameni one of the best center defensive midfielders in the world, or are we getting, a little bit too carried away? Let me know down below, but let's get straight to it with Tchouameni turns boost into cheers, the Frenchman that spawns on the field. This was, of course, last season when he was getting literally bullied by the Real Madrid fan base, and we were crying out for a center back, that was gonna replace him, and the injury-ridden defense we already have, which saw Tchouameni actually play as a center back for a lot of the games last season. But of course, as a defensive midfielder as well, we were looking at Martin Tchouameni. Tchouameni, before he came to Arsenal, there were heavy links with Real Madrid, and I'm kind of happy now that we didn't go for him, because Tchouameni is proving me wrong on all accounts. I particularly didn't think he was, in every game he was focused. I didn't think he was good on the ball. He was losing, physical battles, which he shouldn't be losing. And I just think it was a case of he was playing so much out of position that even when we moved him to the midfield last season, he either didn't have Camavinga next to him, which is a huge pillar to his game. To his game. I love Camavinga. Camavinga is my boy. If you were to, tell me who's your favorite player in this Madrid team, I'd probably say Eduardo Camavinga. Yeah, I know, I'm weird. But whatever. He was a huge pillar to, Tchouameni's success before. And, hey, they just tapered off a little bit with the injuries, which is kind of ironic because Tchouameni actually injured Camavinga, in the pre-game of, I think, the first UCL game last season, which was crazy enough. But when he returned this season, Tchouameni was already on it, even before Camavinga, was finally fit. Tchouameni was already on it under Xabi Alonso, which I respect him for so much. But the most underrated thing, in my opinion, with Tchouameni now is that he is looking like a leader. He is the one that is speaking to the players. He is the one, making those chats between the defense, making the links, especially as we are gonna, watch at the end of the video, the build-up. Tchouameni is that build-up guy, and I always criticize him so much for that. His tackling ability, is good enough. I know that already. I know he is physical. I know he's not bad on the ball. I know he can, pop up with 3 to 4 goals a season. That's enough for me from a DM, which, the last night's goal against Benfica was huge. That's what you expect from, world-class center defensive midfielders, which we saw in Rodri. They can't just defend. It's just the truth. The modern game, has a lot to ask from you, I would say. Which is why I think Camavinga suits Tchouameni perfectly. And that's why he just looked sensational in this game. Because if Tchouameni has a bad game, Camavinga will have a bad game. But if Camavinga, has an okay game, he does what he needs to do, Tchouameni will be a masterclass on the pitch. Tchouameni versus Benfica. 84 touches, 5 fouls, 23 carries. 23 carries from center defensive midfield. This is what we need at Real Madrid. I always preach Angelo Stiller should come because he is a carrier of the ball, but he, progressive carries and progressive passing ability. This is what was missing. Tchouameni, 23 carries. That's why we won the game. 94 passing ability. Basically didn't lose a ball. 3 out of 5 long balls. 2 shots, 1 goal, 9 duels won, and 2 out of 3 aerial duels. His aerial duels are now becoming underrated as well, because our center backs are genuinely incompetent of doing anything in the air. As you can see from corners, set pieces, and even open play, for example, against Budimir. We conceded, so many chances against Osasuna, and we could have conceded way more chances if Tchouameni wasn't on that pitch versus Benfica. Now, all in all, Tchouameni has started 21 matches out of 22 matches he has featured in. He is also on 1,825 minutes, which is, I think, 6th all around, which is basically the same as Vinicius Jr. and, Alvaro Carreras. And you might think, okay, that's okay. No, Alvaro Carreras has basically been our most consistent player, other than, Federico Valverde, Mbappe, which has basically played every single game, 90 minutes, because he didn't really have many injuries before this injury, which has now seen him taken out, and Thibaut Courtois. So basically, there is only 4 players above Tchouameni, and it shows. The guy, behind Tchouameni is by 200 minutes, and that's Arda Güler. He has played more matches, but Tchouameni has been way more important. He has started more matches than anybody. He has been more consistent. He has not been injury-ridden at all, and Tchouameni has 0 red cards as well. Like, some other players in the defense couldn't say, and in the midfield as well, which I appreciate so much. And it shows that if Tchouameni gets a consistent run of form, without, having to play with Sestero or Ceballos, which hinders his game a lot. You can see that because he has to do much more defending, and just he has to focus on his game and not others' game. That's, I think, where, Tchouameni lacks. He can be a bit better in that. He can become even more of a leader. He can become even more mature in his game. But let's be honest, guys, he's 26. He's coming into his prime. He can still get better. He can still get better in that. Maturing doesn't come, with training or flipping, ability or potential. It comes with having more experience. It's just the facts. Now, the last thing I'm going to mention about his stats and ability, which is him being 3rd in total interceptions per 90 minutes, which Dani Ceballos he should be out of this because he has 7 interceptions. Tchouameni has 27. Now, why is that per 90? Because Dani Ceballos plays way less minutes. So he's basically second. If we are comparing per 90, the 2 guys that actually start in this team, it's Carreras and Tchouameni. So Tchouameni is basically second. He has 27 interceptions total and 1.3 interceptions per game, which in the midfield is such an underrated trait in this day and age. Because if a midfielder wins you balls that high up the pitch, it could be, right above the defense, but it takes so much pressure off the game, off the defense. We concede way less chances, and we build up way faster because he gets the ball, plays it out quickly. Tchouameni doesn't have really a problem of holding the ball too much. I think, sometimes the first pass, the first touch can be a little bit shaky, but that wasn't the case in the Benfica game. If he's truly, truly on it, he can be one of the best defensive midfielders in the world. I can even, maybe say that he can be number 1 if he polishes his game. But now, the biggest, question in this Benfica game was, in my opinion, how were Madrid gonna beat the midfield and the press from Benfica? Which we did. We did struggle, but we did beat it, and Tchouameni was a crucial part of that. So BERNABEU HQ, thank you for making this video. Link down below. Once again, thank you so much for watching up until this point. And if you are, please subscribe to my channel. 60% of you are not subscribed. So please, right now, go down there and subscribe, bruv. Let's get into the video. I'm excited.
Real Madrid is through to the next round of the Champions League.
Yes, sir,
today, you must say the performance by the team was awful. We saw Thibaut Courtois come up with many last-ditch...
Many people are overrating this performance. If it wasn't for Courtois and basically, the goals that we scored, it was almost like Tchouameni's brilliance with Fede Valverde's passing, and then Vinicius got a free run on goal. So this wasn't a good team performance, but Tchouameni really stood out. I do agree with that.
Saves in the game against Benfica. They were able to create so many high-quality chances against Real Madrid. Obviously, they took the lead, which equaled the tie.
This was such a bad goal, man. Asensio is a bozo, bro.
Minutes of the match,
Asensio is a
Real Madrid
bozo.
was able to take over. And
but look at who is here to save us.
Win the game. But it was far from a comfortable win for Real Madrid. Let's break down some of the things from this match that were notable. Sir. The first thing to highlight in this game is that Arbeloa stuck with his traditional 4-4-2 setup.
4-4-2 in defense, of course. We have seen it many times before. Fede Valverde, right mid. Camavinga is like a left mid, left center mid, you know, because Carreras inverts on, or, you know, like goes to the wide spaces a lot. He is really good in that, helping Camavinga, you know, basically fill out the space, because sometimes we can get a bit lost in the midfield, if we are being honest, on the counter-attack, especially with this, you know, two in the midfield, because Arda, I just don't like him defensively. I have said that many times before.
This is something we've seen with Xabi Alonso. We saw Carlo Ancelotti use the 4-4-2.
A lot with Carlo Ancelotti, yeah.
But the notable difference you'll see in a couple of different sequences, Real Madrid's build-up was...
Build-up is completely different. As you can see, Camavinga is definitely not a left mid here. He is receiving the ball first, and then Tchouameni is the second man
initiated
in, you know,
with both
the build-up.
Camavinga and Tchouameni forming the double pivot. Then
because Arda Güler, you know, as expected, goes more further up the pitch, because if he didn't go up further up the pitch, why is he even on the pitch, you know? He is there because of his passing ability, final pass. That's him.
The fullbacks play out into the wide space, and Arda Güler would play in this 10 position. But what troubled Real Madrid...
Yeah, but number 10, but he floats too much. He has to get better.
Especially early in the game, in those first 15 minutes of the match, was the Benfica high press. You could see Benfica pressuring
we struggled a lot. Struggled a lot to build up,
which caused a lot of difficulty for Real Madrid in progressing the ball.
Yep.
But slowly throughout the match, you started to see Real Madrid make adjustments throughout the match.
Yes,
things
sir.
Like ball carrying, particularly from Fede Valverde.
Valverde, we seen it a bit from Camavinga, you know, a bit from Tchouameni as well. I think Arda got a little bit better in that, you know.
Also saw Arda Güler shift out into the right back position.
Yep.
We saw Alexander
a lot. Like Trent was coming into the midfield, because, you know, making that pass from this position as a right-footed player, he basically cannot make this pass, or he can, but it just way tougher. But Arda can make it. He can receive it here. He can go here. He can pass it to Trent, or Trent can receive it in the midfield. There is no problem. Trent has enough technical ability.
As well to form a box midfield where he would look to progress the ball from central zones. But this is something that is in the scouting report with Real Madrid, is opposition teams know that if you're pressuring this Real Madrid team higher up the pitch, they struggle to find those solutions to...
Yes, because even though the players are set up well, we struggle to make that pass. Because you don't particularly, you know, make these passes, because it's not your, you know, usual setup. So these players don't, you know, have these patterns in their head. They you know, the weight of the pass is different. And sometimes Benfica, you know, can change one player's pressing, and it can change our whole build-up, which I think we do need to get way better at. But once again, it just comes down to our midfield quality has to get better at receiving the ball and being more calm on the ball in bigger games.
To punish you and then be in transition with their quick players. In this game, Gonzalo Garcia and Vinicius. But throughout the game, we saw different sequences where Real Madrid was adjusting their shape. At times,
a lot.
Later in the match, we saw Arda Güler drop deeper and deeper to initiate the ball progression out of the back, because it was...
He kind of had to, if we are being honest, yeah. We were getting closed down, and Benfica weren't like counter-attacking. I don't know why. Benfica seemed a bit weird in the second half. Demotivated.
Issue that Real Madrid constantly was dealing with. And in the second half, when Real Madrid started the game, we saw Tchouameni form a back three, something that Xabi Alonso loved doing against...
I mean, in my opinion...
a 4-4-2 themselves.
Sorry, that was expected. Because we needed to hold the ball, we didn't need to attack, and, you know, if an opportunity was going to present itself, it's mostly likely going to be a long ball or a through ball, you know, to Vinny, or maybe a cross to Gonzalo. It wasn't going to be a build-up goal, you know, where Tchouameni spins two players. We didn't need that because it's too high risk. If Tchouameni is suddenly here and he's receiving the ball from Rudiger right here, there is two players on him, he can lose the ball. It just wasn't necessary in this game, and we controlled the game perfectly, but still, the build-up, even though we are playing like this, has to be better. We were awful in receiving the ball in midfield in the second half. Even though, you know, we got that second goal, it took us until the 80th minute, and it was a Benfica mistake, if we are being honest. The defense wasn't set up well.
Have three players initiating the passes out of the back. But when you see Real Madrid's narrow pressing shape, you see that Real Madrid was not aggressively pressuring the ball high up the pitch.
At all.
Especially early in the game. This was never part of Real Madrid's strategy. They wanted to play more in transition, to sit a little bit deeper.
But of course, I think we thought Benfica was going to go for it. You know, that was expected.
Contrast that with Benfica's high line. Now, when you look at Benfica and the fact that they're playing with such a high line, you'll see that this was part of their strategy. They didn't want to sit deep against Real Madrid. And I think this caught them by surprise because I don't think Real Madrid was anticipating that Benfica was going to be as aggressive.
Yeah, yes, I think we were like, you know, we were expecting a high press, but not as high as Benfica was doing it for the first 15, 20 minutes, you know, before, you know, the goal happened and Tchouameni scored. Because I think we first of all, we kind of, you know, it was negative for us, but then the Tchouameni goals, I think it was a positive for us. Because they were too high up. Then they got two back, you know, and nobody was marking Tchouameni because they were too focused on the high attacking line of ours. Because, you know, Gonzalo was making it around, Vinny was making it around. I think even Arda was in the box, and, you know, Fede Valverde just noticed Tchouameni. So it was a 50-50 for Benfica in this game, which, yeah, if they got that second goal in the first half, much different game. And they almost did, if we are being honest.
Playing with a higher line, pressuring the ball. But after Real Madrid scores their first goal, Benfica started to move their line back and back. And
yes, completely. I said it in my match reaction. I think it demotivated them, you know. You score a goal in a hyped up, and such an easy goal by Real Madrid, you know, two passes basically to up top. They put a pass back, and Tchouameni is just there to finish it. It's just a really good goal for Madrid.
Real Madrid started taking over the game. Obviously, they score a goal, which was disallowed. The thing is with Real Madrid
crazy
in this
offside,
game,
by the way. Crazy offside.
Is when they were on top in the game and they were creating many chances, they did not convert those chances
at all. Arda Güler, Fede Valverde in the second half, Camavinga, as you can see here. Gonzalo wasn't getting any chances. Vinicius, I think, had one chance in the first half, which, you know, he took on three players, then he just shot it right at Trubin. Even Gonzalo had a header which was offside, which Trubin saved. We were poor at finishing, you know.
Eventually, what ended
but
up
the chances weren't big,
Benfica
to be honest.
Came back alive into the match because it was still 1-1 throughout the match until Real Madrid was able to find that late winner.
Finally,
Real Madrid's over-reliance on Thibaut Courtois to come up with big saves in key moments.
Yeah, we were too reliant on Thibaut Courtois in this game. I mean, if it was, I don't know, PSG, you know, Chelsea, just bigger teams, I am okay with relying on Thibaut Courtois because you do have to. You know, world-class games require world-class keepers. But, let's be honest, this is Benfica, man.
Is part of the issue. In addition to the issues that Real Madrid have, we obviously wish Raul Asensio a speedy recovery, and hopefully he's doing well and it's not a serious injury.
It shouldn't be. You know, I'm recording this after he released it. It shouldn't be a serious injury. You know, the hospital released some files that Asensio should be okay. It's just a neck strain or a neck injury, in my opinion.
But a few times tonight, Raul Asensio was also poor. We also
he was really
saw
poor,
Alexander-Arnold in his 1v1 defending not necessarily do his best.
I think that was, you know, Trent really do need, you know, a world-class center-back next to him, and that just wasn't Raul Asensio. If Rudiger was next to Trent, I think he would have done way better defensively. Like, Asensio was getting basically raw-dogged by Benfica, let's be honest. He was leaving out spaces in the back, and the first goal, that's Asensio's goal.
In the game when Trent would move into the inside of the pitch where his passes were finding the target, but so many times he looked for that long switch to Vinicius. It was covered every single time.
That right back of Benfica perfectly covered every single time, or Trent just didn't put a good cross in.
And so Alexander-Arnold,
I remember this, especially Vinicius too long, or Dedic was just on Vinny.
But when you look at the positive impact that David Alaba had off the bench, he comes on to the pitch and immediately...
yes, because Benfica wasn't pressing. Benfica at that point wasn't pressing enough, and that's why David Alaba was the best, option off the bench. Because, bro, if you don't have pressure on yourself and you can play with the ball, you know, a bit calmly, David Alaba on ball. Like, he is one of the best ball-playing defenders, I think, of all time. I'm not even joking. If you have seen him play left back, even as a 6 for Austria, and way back in Bayern, he's just, on the ball, technically, one of the best center-backs.
Of his passes reached their intended target. And that's why you see it's so critical to have center backs who are really reliable with their ball progression. If there's
Yes, but come on, man. He can never start for us.
two players I have to highlight in this video, it's both Tchouameni and Federico Valverde, who work tirelessly.
Fede Valverde, 2 assists. Basically, he has no stamina. He doesn't need it, guys. He just has infinite. The stamina bar is just infinite, bro. It goes around the world. It's just facts. Like Fede Valverde never gets tired. He just never gets tired. It's just facts. I'm not gonna lie.
Tchouameni dictated the tempo and helping Real Madrid keep the ball flowing. He didn't take too many touches in the midfield, and he was
exactly what I said. That's what I like about him. He doesn't have that problem, but his passing ability can sometimes be a bit, 50-50.
Aggressive with his tackling. He was critical in helping Real Madrid keep control of the match. And Federico Valverde as well from the midfield helped Real Madrid score the second goal. But also his tenacity out of the
Fede is just crucial in games where teams really underestimate him. If you underestimate Fede Valverde, I think he's going to have a field day against you. Once again, though, if he's man-marked, if they are ready, to be blocking his shots, he gets easily frustrated sometimes. I do get that, and he can lose the ball, on the turn. And, of course, against bigger team, it's going to happen. Unfortunately, they know about Fede Valverde. But in this game, Benfica already had enough to worry about, Trent, Tchouameni, and what if Winnie makes a run in behind? What if they cross the ball to Gonzalo Garcia? You kind of do have to just... you cannot man-mark everybody. That's just impossible. And Fede got out, in this game pretty well because they did underestimate him in that second half. And look what happens if you do.
Instrumental to Real Madrid. So many times when Real Madrid is facing teams that try to pressure the ball high up the pitch, you see Federico Valverde use his ball carrying to break lines.
Yes,
it's so effective.
Osasuna game, especially. Osasuna game, even games when he doesn't have, a particularly good game or he doesn't score, assist, he can sometimes switch and just go. It's not that he's the best technically or he's, doing skills like Neymar. No. He just has pace and power, bro. PAP.
Because it's very hard to defend against Valverde's ball carrying because of how it breaks your organization. Of course, Real Madrid is without many of their key players like Rodrigo, Jude Bellingham, Eder Militao.
Jude Bellingham and Militao, especially in this game, I think they would have 100% started instead of Arda and Raul Asensio or Rudy.
Who undoubtedly will have a huge impact in this team in making it a better, more competitive side.
Yes, definitely.
Helping the team also defend better out of possession. But what we saw from Real Madrid today, especially in that first 15 minutes, looked like a very vulnerable side. They allowed Benfica
we are
to have
too vulnerable,
chances.
and that's what I want to end the video. I think he mentioned enough, about the Tchouameni and Valverde situation, which I wanted to big up Tchouameni the most in this game, and I do owe him a little bit of an apology because I did say we might need to sell him sometime down the line, but he surprised me. Honestly, if you can keep this up, and in the bigger games, if you can just be a little bit quicker not quicker, a bit more precise on the ball. I want to see you, make those passes. Don't be scared, be more calm on the ball. Receive the ball. Be that physical presence. And I do think if Tchouameni continues like this, he is more of a leader presence than Fede Valverde. That's just my opinion. I don't think he's particularly better. But if you keep performing like this, I can fully eat up my words and respect you for this. I had to apologize. Please let me know down below what you think about Tchouameni and this, Camavinga, Fede, Arda Güler midfield. Does it get better with Jude Bellingham or do we need to keep it like this? I will see you, in the watch-alongs and in another video soon. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out.